Good afternoon, David Atkins, target individual. I'm going to read an article about Jim Jordan, but I'm going to put some emphasis in it today. And I'm going to start a verse and get right into it. I'm coming from Ecclesiastes 5:8-12. This is pretty interesting. Solomon was the wisest man in the Bible, so they say. It says, if you see the poor oppressed in a district and justice and rights denied, do not be surprised at such things. For one official is eyed by a higher one, and over them both are others higher still. The increase in the lands taken by all. The king himself profits from the fields. Whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. As goods increase, so do those who consume them. And what benefit are they to the owners, except to feast their eyes on them? The sleep of the laborer is sweet, whether they eat little or much. But as for the rich, their abundance permits them no sleep. Makes sense, don't it? Okay. Maybe, and this is Jim Jordan. He's a Republican in Ohio, and he's, you know, I'm just trying to see, it's probably, it may be all street theater, but however, I'm fixing to give you Jim Jordan's number if you're interested, and maybe we can all, you know, the ones who, because this is about Jim Jordan threatens FBI Director Wray with contempt over targeting parents and Catholics. They're saying Catholics are extremists, and he wants answers about it. So, what about the minorities? What about the Muslims who are targeted, labeled as terrorists just because they're Muslims? What about um, uh, people with different color skin just because they got different color skin? They're labeled as terrorists, a threat. What about um, poor people, people disabled, known as the useless eaters, or Christians? For one. It's not just about Catholics, and we need to reach out to Jim Jordan and let him know what's going on. And I may be wrong. It may be all this stuff may be all a show for, for us to for everybody in the world just to think somebody's trying to take action. But what if it's not? It can never hurt. So I'm gonna read this article and then I'm gonna put some emphasis into that, and then I'm gonna leave y'all with Jim Jordan's number if you'd like to call him. Um, I'm going to try to call him and reach out to his office. I know that. Okay. It says House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio, has threatened to hold FBI Director Christopher Wray in contempt of Congress if the Bureau does not comply with two subpoenas related to its alleged targeting of concerned parents and Catholics. In his letter to Mr. Wray on July 17th, Mr. Jordan highlighted the FBI's wholly inadequate responses to the subpoenas, which he believed hindered the committee's oversight efforts. Hold on. Okay. Of particular interest to the committee is the FBI's weaponization of its law enforcement powers against Americans who exercise their First Amendment rights, Mr. Jordan wrote. The first subpoena issued on February 3rd requested documents, information related to the FBI's targeting of concerned parents who speak out at school board meetings. The second subpoena issued on April 10th was about the FBI's profiling of traditional Catholics as domestic extremists. Well, I hate to tell you, I guarantee you they ain't being profiled like us, target individuals, the ones known as useless eaters, the Muslims who, just because their religion's Muslim, they're seen as extremists or terrorists. Um, and they're targeting these people's whole family. I had somebody reach out to me, and he's a Muslim. He told me what they were doing, and you know, um, and he's from America, and his kids are American, and they targeted his whole family, and he ended up moving out of the country, and he's still getting targeted very hard, tortured very bad. and he's a doctor. I hope you don't mind me saying he's a doctor. He's getting tortured very bad. Okay. Um, But what about the Christians that are getting targeted? The people with different skin color, um, just people, random people, innocent people being set as extremists, seen as a threat when really we're some of the best people you'll meet. So what about them? That's what we need to ask Jim Jordan. Will he fight for us? It's worth a try. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if all this is cyber theater to make news, to make it look like stuff's getting done and really nothing's happening. But it's what can it hurt? To date, FBI's compliance with these subpoenas has been wholly inadequate, has materially impeded the committee's oversight efforts, Mr. Jordan wrote. After several accommodations, months of persistent outreach by the committee, and attempts to negotiate and work with the FBI in good faith, we write you to notify that if the FBI does not improve its compliance substantially, the committee will take action such as the initiation of contempt of Congress proceedings to obtain compliance with these subpoenas. The deadline for the FBI is to provide the requested documents is set for July 25th at 12 p.m. The committee has already received some documents from the FBI, but believes there are additional materials still not provided. The FBI's productions to date have not included the material the committee knows is or has reason to believe may be in the FBI's possession that is responsive to their subpoena, Mr. Jordan wrote. One specific record the committee wants is an email that might shed light on the connection between National School Boards Association 2021 letter to President Joe Biden and the FBI's focus on alleged threats made by vocal parents at school board meetings. America's public school and its education leaders are under immediate threat, the NSBA wrote in 2021 letter to Mr. Biden. The letter asks for federal law enforcement support as school member board face parents expresses concern about masking and teaching of critical race theory. The association later apologized for the letter. The FBI did not sufficiently comply. The subpoenas were initially issued in response from a memo of Attorney General Merrick Garland and Educational Secretary Miguel Cardona, addressing an alleged increase in harassment, intimidation, threats of violence against school administrators, board members, and teachers and staff. According to Mr. Jordan, the FBI did not sufficiently comply on a voluntary basis, having only overturned 4 redacted pages of school board related documents submitted by initial March 1st deadline. In a cover letter signed by Acting Assistant Director of Congressional Affairs Christopher Dunham, it was stated that the response included information that the FBI managed to prepare with the time since receiving the subpoena on February 3rd following the accommodation process. Despite the committee's willingness to accept the documents on a rolling basis, the FBI's response had been deemed underwhelming. Mr. Jordan alleges the FBI's handling of the subpoenas undermines the Bureau's commitment to protect First Amendment rights and accountability. Furthermore, the FBI's refusal to provide names of employees involved in the memo, drafting, reviewing, approving, or disseminating process raised concerns about religious liberties protection, Mr. Jordan wrote. A similar tactic was used in May when House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer threatened to hold Mr. Wray in contempt when attempting to obtain an unclassified file related to Biden's alleged bribe for a Ukrainian energy executive. Ultimately, Mr. Wray agreed to share a redacted version of the information with the Oversight Committee members. And, this is not, I'm just reading this because, if this true, Jim Jordan might be somebody that might stand up for us. I doubt it, but hey, it's worth a try. So, Jim Jordan's office number is 202-225-2676. If you want to reach out to him and tell him what's going on, I think a lot of us need to. I'm gonna try it and I'll let you know. It's not gonna be today, but anyway. What about targeting Muslims and innocent men and helpless women in the U.S.? Please, TIs, let's write to Mr. Jordan since he can't be selective in his investigation, and it must include all TIs. Let's sign the biggest documents in the history of Congress. And that was quoted by somebody who asked me to read this on my channel. Very good friend of mine. So anyway, it's a question raised, and I know a lot of y'all is going to say, well, it's all cyber theater and all that. It probably is, but what if it isn't? What if Mr. Jordan is a sincere person? So I'm not saying he is, and I'm not putting a stamp on it because I don't know. He seems like it. Maybe cyber theater just to make the public think something's being done. So anyway, if y'all want to reach out to Mr. Jordan, His number is 202-225-2676. That's his office number. God bless all target individuals. I got some really good information coming up this week for y'all. But yeah, there's a lot more going on than Catholics being called extremists, and I'm not taking away from Catholicism or whatever. I'm not saying nothing about that. I'm just saying we need recognition too. You know, just because somebody's disabled, or just because somebody is poor, or just because somebody's a different color, or just because somebody's a Muslim or Christian or Jew, whatever the case may be, don't mean we should be labeled illegally as extremists and tortured with direct energy weapons, gang stalked, well, not gang stalked, vigilantism is what I like to call it, because gang stalk's not a good word. That was a word to put up to make us look crazy. So it's more like vigilantism. I don't like using the word because these people think they're doing jobs against criminals when you know we're not bad people at all. You know, they've been told that we're some kind of bad people and all this. But anyway, what about us? You know, and the only way, you know, the only way I can figure, man, this is ever going to be get took care of is, you know, I don't know if any judge is ever going to rule against its own United States, or, you know, but you know, Janet Murray, if you paid attention to what I read yesterday, she said that the industries are using it, and they bought the tech from the United States and they're using it. You know, so I'm not just saying it's the United States, it's all countries, obviously, because I know people that's been in many countries, not just one person. I know many TIs who've been in different countries and it happened. So I don't think, you know, who knows? It may not be the government all the way, but they came up with the technology. But yeah. Anyway, so God bless y'all. This is really I had to really put some emphasis in this, and you know, so it's not like I said, I'm not etching it as to go out and call him, it's gonna make it better. No, I'm not saying that. Boy, can it hurt. So anyway, if anybody does call Jim George, please let me know what he says in the comments. I'm eager to see, and I will let y'all know when I do decide to call him, when what I found out, you know, because I'm thinking it's going to have to be a group. It can't be just one or two people. But if a lot of people just start calling him, I'm sure he might look into it. Anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all are okay. I got good information coming later this week. I'm probably going to take a day off tomorrow, and I will resume with information. So anyway, hope y'all are doing all right, and God bless y'all.